Welcome to Exploring Possibilities. I'm your host, Cheryl Sitz. Since 2012, Mario Rosales of Tech Life Balance and I have been airing inspiring, insightful conversations with all kinds of change agents who are raising the vibration on our planet. It's the intention of our show to explore possibilities and shift perspectives in holistic, spiritual ways. You'll hear how various industry experts discover and share their deepest passions to make a bigger difference in the world. You can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play. And do me a favor, please come back and rate the show so that new people can find us. We'll introduce our next guest in just a moment.
Have you ever gone to a social media seminar and you have the online experts telling you, get a blog, get a website, get on social media, all this other stuff? By the time you're done with that seminar, that online expert is very good at frying your brain. And the funny part is, you come back home, you get in front of the computer, and you're lost. Hi, I am Mario with Tech Life Balance. I see this all the time. You spend so much money and still don't know what is going on with your online presence. And you probably don't need all of that. Let me go ahead and translate Geek to English for you and show you what you really need, because you don't need it all. You probably only need a few components. You have a great message out there, and I would like to hear it, and I definitely want to help you put it out there. I am Mario Rosales with TechLifeBalance.net. I produce this podcast because I love distributing messages. Let me help you distribute your message.
Hi, it's your host, Cheryl Sitz. And when I'm not doing this podcast, I really enjoy coaching you on how you can have the life you really want. As creators of our own reality, there's a lot of ways that we can block ourselves, hold ourselves back, or just not get really clear on what it is we want. Once we do that, there is no stopping us. I'd love to help you do that. Get in touch with me at CherylSitz.com. Today's show is so special to me. I met today's guest when we were both speakers at TEDx The Woodlands in 2011, and she's actually the one that told me about the Vipassana 10-day silent meditation retreats. I went, it was so powerful for me, and told Mario about it. And since then, not only did we have powerful experiences, but we told others. And I just have the fondest memories of meeting her. Her name is Ritika Arya. She is a full-time spiritual scientist committed to exploring her own hidden potential as a divine creator on this planet. Okay. Actually, also in her words, she's a sexy little ninja of awesomeness here on this planet to live through ascension times and pioneer systems for 5D life. I love that. Her website is ritikaarya.com. Welcome, Ritika.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. This is so exciting, and I'm so happy to be here with you after all these years.
I know. And yet, in ways, time has accelerated so much it almost seems like yesterday, but much has happened, right?
That is so true. I feel the same. I am kind of acting fuzzy at the moment.
Yes, fuzzy. That's a good word for it. Well, so you had come to Texas from India, where you were then working with a school, and we were able to participate in TEDx together. And Vipassana was amazing, but you were like really switched on, tuned in, enlightened on your path already at that time. And watching you through Facebook to kind of go through even more adventures has been a beautiful thing for me. Share with us, please, how you found your, if you want to call it your path of enlightenment. How did you come into all of this?
I think it's been very clearly and simply through my heart. Just being blessed with parents who never sort of put any kind of expectations on me. I wasn't obligated to be anything or do something specific. I just grew up with that kind of freedom, which allowed me to, from moment to moment, follow my own heart. And I think that when I followed one thing after the other, it just led me into like deeper spaces, almost like going down the rabbit hole. And I am here where I am, but it wouldn't have been possible without the space that I got and the possibilities that came my way, and then the fact that my heart really guided me.
And that you followed. I mean, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
That you let your heart be your guide. So many people follow the mind instead of the heart. And I think that's right there a huge difference that I saw in you, is that you really do follow your heart. And you've followed your heart kind of all over the world too, haven't you? You've had some amazing adventures.
Oh, yes. Fortunately, I've been blessed to go all the places I've been able to go. And literally, I'm at a place where I can say that the world is my home. And I feel as much at home as I do in the United States as I feel in India. So, yeah.
That's wonderful.
I've been really lucky. Yeah. Looking back, and, I'm having flashes of the different continents and the people and the places. It's just been so enriching.
What do you think has kind of been, I don't know how to word this, the point of it all? Why do you think that you've become this citizen of the world with the diverse experiences that you've had, both spiritual and scientific?
Now, this why is a tricky question, but the sense that I get is I'm seeing that there's this quality to my thinking, which is, I would say, equivalent to integration, where no matter where I go, and it doesn't matter which community I'm participating in, which school, which college, which country, which society, which religion, I'm able to, with much grace and ease, see how, not the contrast, like when people, meet different cultures, they'll be like, this is like this, but back home it's like this. Of course, those moments are there at a certain level and from one perspective. But when something deeper is revealed to me in a particular setup, naturally I'm able to sort of make connections and draw parallels between the wisdom that life has, been unfolding. And so I feel like maybe my special gift is to just put together things in ways that people are not able to put together. So let's say if it's, for example, the work of Rudolf Steiner, which is, a man who's known in the European continent. And then there is this other man called Sri Aurobindo and his works, which I've come to know as I've traveled in the south of my country. And then there's another man that I know who's my sensei, Jason is this, his work and his teachings. There is this beautiful ability to see from a lens that can see the difference in the language that these people are speaking from, to see the reference points and to see the time that this man belonged to and the time this man belonged to. But I can see through to the point where they meet with great clarity sometimes. And I feel like that's probably my gift, integration and fusion and looking at the world as one whole. And then from that whole being able to create rather than trying to grapple with pieces that don't fit together.
You see the oneness.
Yeah. Pretty much. But I don't see it just as a concept. I feel like, it unfolds in my day-to-day reality, which is pretty special for me. And it's fun to live like that.
So what would you say to someone listening who struggles to get out of their head and get out of the way and allow that to unfold, or their judgment gets in the way, or their habitual thinking, or any of that? Do you meet people that you're able to help that shift in, who want to have a shift in that? Are you able to help people somehow see things in a way other than the way they see them?
Yeah, I think pretty much the last few years of my life have been in different ways dedicated to doing this for myself and outside to people who show up in my life then. So the way I would, do it for myself or facilitate would be to see how certain ways of thinking that we've kind of picked up from our environment, let's say we call them programs. It's not that it's bad to be programmed, because oftentimes we hear, oh my God, she's just running a program and that's so limiting. Programs are essential when we can't take responsibility of things, let's say I'm a child and I've been programmed to stay away from certain neighborhoods or certain environments or certain animals or things. And then growing up, I kind of have a fear of those things that I've been told to be away from. That program, in a way, served me when I was not ready to take responsibility for myself. And so it's good. But the point is, when I reach a place where I can take responsibility, it's important to relook at the ways of thinking, the programs we're running with respect to eating and meeting and living and working, and then see if the program is still serving us. If it is still serving us, making us feel like we can expand in it, well, keep it. If it feels like, oh my God, I can't go and do this because, I'm afraid of this. So then it's probably nice to explore, what are we afraid of? What if we went beyond that? And what would it create? And so then we're able to go and take responsibilities beyond the programs, explore territories we haven't explored, and then come to those judgments from experience rather than from thinking, which has been, in a way fed to us for our own good or for maybe not our good. I mean, it depends. So I would say then moving from thinking to, if there is an impulse in your heart, that voice sometimes at the back which says, just do it. But then you're like, no, I can't. I have to pay the bills. And then, you give that voice a chance and see where it takes you. I'm not saying quit the job. It's not that simple. I understand. And it's usually about taking one step at a time into things you love. And the more we cultivate that love, I feel it allows us to then develop faith in ourselves. And faith in ourselves then allows us to also look at the world with faith. So my journey has been from moving from a place of living in tight programs, which as I moved, I saw were not serving me, and just letting them fall apart and go. And the letting go is the tricky part, but I didn't drop them all at once. I just took one tiny step, just tiptoed out of it, and moved into, what is it that I would love to do now? What is it that I would love to eat now? What is it that I would love to create now? And that, over time, helped me have faith in my own decisions and my capacity to live and to be responsible as a limitless person. And faith, I feel like, is at the moment the highest space of living that I'm exploring and also working towards embodying as much as possible.
Yes, I agree. And it's amazing what we can create from that place of faith. And the deeper our faith is, the more powerful the reality we're creating for ourselves day in and day out, right? That's what I'm experiencing.
Yeah. I mean, the only tricky thing with faith is, people say, okay, I want to see something and then I can have faith in this or that, or show me what you can do.
Yeah.
Or show me a proof. But faith works the other way around. So just, it's almost like, that you can, when you fall or when you take that plunge, you're going to be held. You're not going to be hurt. And it's the faith in that knowing that allows then that path where you're not going to be hurt, where you're going to be taken care of, where the support will come to unfold and not the other way around, is what I'm realizing on my journey. Yeah.
And what a journey it is. So I want to share with our audience a little bit what your journey has looked like. So I know that you came here, you were here for the conference where I met you, but you've been many places and you've done a lot of things. Is there a way that you can kind of sum up your journey and some of the amazing places that you've been? Like, has it been about, I know quite a bit of it was about helping youth back home, right? It wasn't that like where you were at when I met you and then where that's gone from there?
Right. Yeah, I did start with the intention of bringing holistic education to children back home. And it was about changing the world through education until I started to change through the action that I was taking, because every action in my understanding today builds understanding. So one step at a time, opportunities came. And when we met Cheryl in Texas, I also connected with so many other people and so many other young people. And so one thing led to the other, and a special mention is needed to be given to something called Waldorf education, which is what I met on my journey when I was looking for what can the curriculum be for the children that we want to bring holistic education towards. So when I'm at Waldorf education, I did a 7-day seminar back home in close to Mumbai. I felt that this is just not enough. Like 7 days, it's not like it didn't tickle me. It literally helped me wake up. And I was like, these guys are trying to understand children, not just in their physical development, but also understanding the whole being. Things that we want to sort of push outside or push under the carpet. We don't want to talk about metaphysical things and subtle bodies. And we're like, who even understands it? But here was a community that was not just talking about it as explorers, but who had a considerable amount of understanding and had developed a curriculum to, work on those subtle bodies of the child, to see the child as an entire being, physical, spiritual whole.
Wow.
And when I'm at Waldorf education, I was moved to be then a Waldorf teacher. So I went and enrolled myself in a training back home. And I did my Waldorf teacher training certification. And during Waldorf education training, I discovered that it comes from something called Anthroposophy. And Anthroposophy, very simply again, is anthro, human, sophia, wisdom. So the wisdom of the human being, which is something that says, hey, let's understand the human being, not just from the material aspect, not just anthropology, but also try and see what it means to live as a being in the spiritual realm and simultaneously in the physical realm. And I was hooked, because whatever I had been feeling or what had been growing in me intrinsically because of the culture I was growing up in, reincarnation or karma, or just this, subtle aspects of ancient Indian culture, was now there in front of me in the form of clear words and knowledge that I could explore. And so Anthroposophy in the recent few years really helped me ground myself, helped me shape my thinking. And for that, I went to Switzerland and Denmark. And Denmark I'm about to go to now. I came to the United States again. And basically, I've been traveling in the recent few years to explore Waldorf education and the anthroposophical movement, and also related initiatives around the world. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing, and that's where I am currently.
I'm fascinated. I have not even heard of Anthroposophy. So
Yes.
Where is that originating out of? Where is that coming from in its point of origin on the planet, that discipline? And if you can tell me a little more about it, it sounds right in line with who I am and what I'm into. So please tell us more.
So Anthroposophy originated in Europe, and the man behind it is a man called Rudolf Steiner. So this is something I've heard, that he is someone who never visited India, but at the same time has sort of written a translation of the Bhagavad Gita, which is a holy text that I've heard about growing up and is very sacred to the whole continent, in fact, to India.
Yes.
And never having visited India, he translated it into German And this is just one aspect of it, but he was, in a true sense, what I would call a seer. And when I'm using the word seer, I'm saying that he had the organs, whether he cultivated them, and he also brought certain gifts when he was born to see beyond the physical material seeing as we know, beyond seeing through thinking, but truly perceiving aspects of the subtle world. And through having worked and transformed his own senses to higher senses, if I may say that, he was able to really bring into this world aspects of the supramental, which then could become real impulses in agriculture, in education, in medicine, in architecture, so that there could be an integrated existence which was seamless. At least that seems to me as his work. It feels like whether you move into an anthroposophy inspired college, or you move onto a farm, or you meet people from the medical field, there is something so fundamental that they all know about. And then their entry points into this fundamental knowing has come from all these streams, which Rudolf Steiner gave impulses for in his lectures when he existed on the planet. This was almost about 100 years ago. And it's fascinating how the same grasp or a fundamental presence in the supramental is reached from all these impulses by these people who are taking this impulse and working with the field like that, working with the children like that, working towards healing. And it's phenomenal that 100 years ago, this man could have brought this impulse in such a pure way on this planet. And I feel like what he brought was probably too early for his time. I feel like the shift is really being felt now. I mean, even when I look at my Facebook updates, or when I look around, something's really shifting. So the anthroposophical impulse he brought in Europe spread around the world. And while the movement compared to the world population may be kind of small, but I feel like it's very potent. Yeah.
Well, it feels like he, like others, I mean, we're really taking Tesla's stuff to the next level now. It seems like with each era in time, we pick up the seeds planted by those who came in the last one, whether it's 50 years, 100 years, however long. We pick up these seeds and we take them to the next level. And then the next era awakens even further. And right now, I love that it is such a big, huge shift. And this is just fabulous to me. This is exactly what we're ready for, is integrating all of it together in a grounded, very day-to-day, logical way that works for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And which is why, it's fair to call a lot of these people, and including myself, a spiritual scientist, because it's graspable. It's almost like if two people who can see, like now I mean like physical seeing, talk to each other and say, hey, okay, that apple looks nice and red and ripe. And the other one would say, yeah, it does to me too. Awesome. Come on, let's just take a bite or put it in our dessert or whatever. They're not going to look at each other with a question mark like, oh my God. They both can see the same thing in that sense. So in this community, when people at a certain level have been able to, awaken or sort of open the dormant senses, which have functions beyond our current knowing. And also Rudolf Steiner says there are not just 5 senses, and he talks about 12 senses.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make here is that when you have the eyes for something and you can see as a seer, and when two seers meet and they talk, they can see the same thing or share perspectives like two people would do in case of this apple. And so I feel like it's not like groping in the dark and putting, theories out there which then contradict another theory or themselves and can be applied in certain places and cannot be applied in certain places. The beauty of life is if it can be seamless, and that is something that's really drawing me and a lot of other young people, because Anthroposophy as a movement has also its youth wing, the youth section. And the young people are also exploring Anthroposophy, of course. Biographically, they are at a different stage in their life and, they're younger. But it's interesting how they're exploring it too and bringing it into their day-to-day lives, manifesting it in the arts and music and drama and just so much more.
That's wonderful. It needs to be a little bit of it infused everywhere, right? And then it spreads.
Yeah.
So what do you see for your applications of it? Are you feeling like, at least for a time, you will continue using it as a teacher, or are you feeling drawn more into the study and science of it, or community building? What is your passion with this?
So I feel very deeply called towards education, because I feel like if we can work on the schooling of thinking, because we tell everybody, or we tell students are often told, think twice and think carefully before making this decision or choosing that stream, or not just students. We use the word think almost as if it's given how to think, But the idea of schooling of thinking is something that really fascinates me. And I think that for me is equivalent to education. So I'm definitely right now doing my research study in schooling of thinking and senses and its relation to education, because at some point I would like to go back to India and work with the education system. I don't know if advocacy is the right word. I mean, I'm not so much of an activist, rather than just someone who would like to live it and then let it spread and let things emerge organically on my path. So I do plan to continue in the education space, but at the same time, I'm also feeling the impulse to move around and see how it's manifesting in agriculture, in architecture, in medicine. So I've been taking these conferences in the different fields to see how the principles are working from there and to be able to develop the faculties within me to have and hold multiple perspectives. And that allows me to bridge to more people. And I feel like another gift is that I can talk to literally a 0-year-old child, if that makes sense, to maybe 100, or if there is somebody on the planet who's 200. I usually am able to get along and speak to people from different continents with different languages and cultures. And I feel like that has been possible greatly because of allowing myself to cultivate multiple perspectives. So I'm spending some time at the moment, just going into the different fields. But I know that education is going to be a great part. At least that's the feeling I get of my work. So I'm going to work hopefully with a lot of young people, but also adult education. That's the challenging part, because people look at me and sometimes I just don't get the contract and they're running these programs. Oh my God, she's half my age. What is she going to teach? Or how is she going to facilitate? But yeah.
I hope that also that you feel called to do some writing, because you have some amazing insights to share that might be enjoyed by the masses if they were recorded, like we're recording this today, and I look forward to that spreading. It's amazing to me, all the information that you're cultivating by going and looking at how this is being applied in all the different disciplines, and sharing that information would be wonderful. Can you tell us a couple of maybe the most exciting things that you've seen where this is being integrated into disciplines and making change?
So, in fact, I would like to talk about where I'm at the moment. It's a place called the Nature Institute, and it's in upstate New York. And it's being used at the moment in something called phenomenology. And that is, how can we look at phenomena, something that's manifesting in front of us, let's say, for instance, in nature, and not come from a space of, okay, I have this concept and then I'm projecting it onto what I'm seeing, but to be present in such a way that we can allow the concept to unfold within us. And through us being true to what we're seeing and not bringing everything that we've learned from our textbooks and concepts that we've cultivated and chewed on, either through rote learning or because someone said so, how can we allow the experience to unfold within us? And through that knowing, through that embodiment of that phenomena, you can say, I understand this. And there's something called living thinking, which is the term that a man called Craig Holreach, who is now the director of this institute, is bringing into the world, which is saying, let's not see after things are done and be like, this happened. And when I did this, that happened. The happened is too late. And we're just talking about objects as I did this, and then this happened to the object. We're literally saying at this institute, at the moment this week when we've been participating in dialogues and text studies, that when we are embedded in a phenomena, it is living. Your thoughts inside you, your experiences that, you are, your sense perceptions, and the phenomena in itself. For example, even if it is me observing a particular tree or the ferns as a concrete example of what I'm doing. And if I do not take the ferns as a fixed object that is going to behave in a certain way, and I need to go there and make my observations, and then I note something today and I believe like now I know the ferns, and I allow myself and the ferns to meet, for the ferns to grow in me through experience, through my sense perceptions. And from that, when the understanding emerges, it's not so much of, I know this about this and it's fixed, and then I go ahead and teach 10 other students about it, saying, oh, I've spent 10 years with the ferns, observing them like this. But being awake to the fact that it's growing in me today, and this is what I've learned today, and the embodiment of the experience is there. It's not just a blackboard drawing. It is knowing how it smells, and probably go take a chance and taste it. Spend some time just looking at it, allowing that concept which you learned in the classroom to just rest somewhere, to see what the phenomena can teach you. Almost looking at it as if it's alive, and seeing the phenomena outside and inside, your resistance in the mind, the concepts popping up. The phenomena is the whole. It includes you. You're embedded in it. So this is just so exciting, Cheryl, that imagine if the world could live like that. The whole question of sustainability would probably just be, wiped out from the face of the planet. Okay, I'm being too optimistic. But
no, you're right.
It's not wrong to be optimistic.
You are right. If we're experiencing more than just our busyness and our, okay, I need a lunch, I'm going to grab this. Okay, I need to do this and fly through the house. And we move at such a pace that we don't experience our impact on anything. And what you're talking about is experiencing ourself in each moment, which sends many people running and screaming from meditation mats all over the world. Like, wow, I've got to sit with myself. It's going beyond sitting with myself and making peace with myself and experiencing myself moment to moment. And you're talking about then extending that out and experiencing every other that we connect with, that we want to understand from an experiential place, from a sensory place, not from a thinking place or the stories in our head or what we've been taught or what we expect. That is transformational stuff right there.
Yeah. The presence in the moment and
Yes.
not just when we're sitting and doing meditation. Well, it's difficult to cultivate, easier said than done because of old habits. But yeah, that's something that I'm working with. And one of the applications of anthroposophy is manifesting like that here at the Nature Institute. Study of phenomena and being true to what is unfolding in front of you and within you. Yeah.
And even just trying to put language to it limits it. Even trying to describe the experience lessens it somehow.
Yeah, that has been another question. How language, if we could look at it from the perspective of language, allows us to disclose or sort of whatever is there in the in the experience world, how can we bring it into words that it becomes representational of what we're doing? But the first act is something that you experience within, maybe this lightning bolt experience on the top of a mountain that just makes you feel so high and beautiful. And then you have to come down and your friends ask you, what was that like? And then you're almost having to invent words in the moment to disclose that which unfolded in you. And you're grappling, but the idea is you are trying to create a representation of it, which is not always going to be accurate unless they're listening to you beyond your words and they're present to be able to kind of then also feel into it and hear more than just the words,
Yes. Then we begin to communicate with all of our senses, and that's so different, isn't it?
It is. Changes the quality of exchange. It just makes it so much more yummy.
Well, and it's always possible. We're here on a podcast that is seemingly only reaching one sense, right? The ears of the listeners. And yet, if they actually let themselves feel us, it reaches all the senses.
Yeah, because there's so much that's going on to my voice. Like I'm literally feeling like a dance happen inside me. And I'm literally like moving with, speaking to you. This is so amazing. So I feel like that presence, it could be felt if someone were to allow themselves to feel it. Why not?
Yeah. What an era we get to live in when people are awakening to this, when we're awakening to this, that we took this 3D world that was already so full of experiences and we're taking it into something else that's only adding more senses, more experiences, more possibilities. And sometimes it's super, super exhilarating. And sometimes I know for a lot of people I talk to, there are these moments where it's like, whoa, what's happening? You can kind of almost spin in it if you're not anchoring into something.
Yeah.
What keeps you grounded?
I have those times when I'm spacing out. But I have, in the recent 1.5 year, through practices with my sensei, begun to understand the importance of the body and how all this knowledge that, the spirit has to offer needs a container also for it to come through, So there were times, Cheryl, this is about, again, almost 6 years ago when I would do Qigong. And when I was working with Qi, I would faint. Like beyond a certain point, I had cultivated so much Qi that my body would, in my language, fuse, like short circuit. I would faint and fall down because it was too much energy that my body couldn't hold. And now is the time when just working with my body consciously and, you're doing, say, 20 jumping jacks today, and you know that at the 20th one, you are literally panting, pushing it just over the threshold to do 22, and then becoming stable in that, and then doing 25. So I've been giving my body these challenges and really valuing it a lot more than I ever have in my life through what I allow in terms of exploitation of my own body and what are the practices I do with it. How can I keep the energy flowing, the channels clean, physically detoxing, yes, but also working with my body and my heart together and giving it new commands and saying that, just releasing things that get stored in so many ways in our body, the emotions, the charges, the things that happen to us, the cells also record them. And so just loving and speaking to my body and giving it more attention helps me ground, and for it to become a more open and pure container to then hold the new streaming codes from the universe to come through.
I like that.
So yeah, I do spend time with my body.
I think that's something else that we're all moving into more. So that's a great reminder. Thank you for that. So do you work with clients now outside of your teaching? You have the website, and what can listeners find there?
So my website is like me, it's evolving, and one of the quotes over there is, if you knew me yesterday and if you meet me today and you think that's who I was, you're going to probably be wrong, because I grow every hour. And that's not an exaggeration. So my website is evolving. The services that I have provided in the recent past have been working with people one-on-one in card reading sessions, or in the, something that I call the art of understanding children, which is not just about understanding children, but also the inner child, and to see how we have sort of, the trajectory of our life, and to see what's worth letting go. And when you let go, you create room for yourself, for new things to come in. So I've been doing work around that topic, the art of understanding children, very closely. I do card readings, angel card readings. And something that I want to do more is called rainbow sharing sessions, where people are open to just, meeting and showing up and sharing whatever comes through, and allowing me to hold space and for them to co-create the space so that we can bounce off and grow together, and, share whatever it is that we have to share with each other, and take back things to grow with. And then I offer things around Anthroposophy and Waldorf education, but it's all going to grow and change as I move on. But this has been some of the stuff that I've been excited about sharing with the world until now. Yeah.
Until tomorrow, or maybe 5 minutes from now.
Yeah, you just got to go on the website or just connect with me and see, hey, so is there something new that is cooking in your lab or in your kitchen? Okay, yeah.
I love that. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time out to visit with us today. And as I watch the timer let me know that our show's coming to a close, I like to ask all of my guests if you have a parting thought that you would like to leave us with today.
I just say that each one of us is so unique, and we have things for each other which nobody else can bring. So if I have something for you, then it's only me who can bring that, which is why I'm here on this planet. So I would say, let's just allow ourselves to unfold to our highest potential possible, so that we can experience sharing our highest gifts with each other. Let's not come in the way of our own divinity and our own highest potential and possibility.
Wow. And your voice just danced through that. The joy that pours through you is unbelievable. I love it. Thank you so much for spending time with us today, and for your beautiful heart. I love you so much, and I can't wait until we meet again in the physical.
Oh, that would be awesome. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show and for this experience. It's been fun.
Yes.
And I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Me too. Thank you. Would you like to be a guest on Exploring Possibilities? Drop me a note at info@journeyofpossibilities.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Exploring Possibilities.